To find the circumference of a circle, we're going to use the formula circumference is equal to 2 pi r, where r is the radius of the circle. Now, because if we were to multiply the radius by 2, that would give us the diameter. We also have a second formula we can use. We could just use diameter times pi. But typically I'm going to stick with using 2 pi r. So let's go ahead and take a look at how we can use that formula to find both the exact circumference of a circle as well as the approximate circumference of a circle. The exact circumference will have the pi symbol in it. Pi is an irrational number, as you guys know. It goes on and forever and never ends. So the only way to accurately, exactly express that number is to use the symbol. As soon as we plug any value in for pi, no matter how many digits we plug in, it's always going to be an approximation. You guys know that typically we use 3.14 for pi. We could use several more digits if we want to be more accurate, but it would still be an approximation if we don't have that symbol. So let's take a look at this first problem. We have a radius of a circle that's 18 inches. So I'm going to use my 2 pi r formula and say circumference is equal to 2 times pi times my radius, which is 18. Well, to get your exact answer, just do all the work around the pi. The pi symbol kind of just comes along for the ride. You just kind of put it on your answer when you're done. So to do this problem, I'm going to do 2 times 18 and get 36, and then just slap that pi symbol on the answer. So 36 pi inches, because circumference is just sort of like perimeter, it's just a straight line distance. My exact circumference is 36 pi inches. Now, if I want to get an approximate answer, I'm going to use my wavy equal sign to show approximate. What I want to do is replace pi with a number. And we agreed in class that we're going to use about 3.14 for pi. So as soon as I've replaced the pi symbol with that number, I now have an approximate answer. If I do that multiplication, 36 times 3.14, I get approximately 113.04 inches. Both of those numbers are or approximately the same thing. 36 pi and 113.04. They're about the same thing, just one is exact and one is approximate. Our next example gives us the diameter of a circle. As we discussed, we can use the diameter just the way it is. We have a second formula for circumference. It's diameter times pi. However, I like to stick with always using the radius, especially as we get into area later on. We're always working with the radius. So I'm noticing that I'm given the diameter, and so the first thing I'm going to do is figure out what the radius is. We know that the radius is exactly half of what the diameter is. So the radius of the circle is 2.5 feet. So that's the number I'm going to work with. Again, you could use 5. You'll see when we set up our formula, we're going to end up back at the 5, but I just like to use the radius always to be consistent. So my exact circumference is going to be 2 times the pi symbol times my radius, which is 2.5. Multiplying 2 times 2.5 gets me back to 5, which was our diameter. And then feet with the pi symbol is my exact circumference. The only way to express this answer exactly is to use that symbol. If I want an approximate answer, however, I'll replace pi with a number, and we're going to use 3.14. And then do that multiplication and get an approximate circumference of about 15.7 feet. Our last two examples have us working backwards. They've given us the circumference of a circle, and they asked us to either find the radius or the diameter. So be careful about what they've asked you to find. We'll find the radius first, but we're not always done with the problem. Sometimes we need to do one more step and find the diameter. So watch out for that. They try to get you with these problems, so watch out. So they've given us circumference. So to work backwards, let's set up our formula first. Circumference is equal to 2 pi times the radius. And then plug in what we know. Our circumference is 26. And what we need to figure out is whether that 26 meters is either an exact or an approximate answer. It doesn't have anything to do with decimals. It has to do with whether you see a pi symbol or not. Since there's no pi symbol in this problem, or in this answer, that 26 is an approximate answer. Now, the reason I want to note that is if I don't have a pi symbol on this side of the equation, I am not going to put a pi symbol on the other side of the equation. I'm going to use 3.14 instead, and then times the radius. So there's the equation I want to solve, and again, because there's no pi symbol in the answer, there's no pi symbol on the other side of the equation. So let's do some algebra to get this solved for. So I'm going to multiply 2 times 3.14. and get 6.28 times the radius. If I then finish by dividing both sides by 6.28, I should have my, 6.28. I should then have my approximate radius. If I round to 2 decimal places, I come up with about 4.14 meters. Once again, double check what they've asked you to find. This time they did ask us for radius, so we're done when we have that. Sometimes they ask for other things like diameter, or even tomorrow they may ask us to go a step further and find the area. So one last one we'll take a look at. Again, it's a working backwards question where they've given us the circumference. So I'll start with my formula. Circumference equals 2 times pi times the radius, and plug in my circumference, it's 10 pi. This time there is a pi symbol in my problem, meaning this isn't an exact circumference. And since there's a pi symbol on one side of the equation, I'm allowed to write a pi symbol on the other side of the equation. And actually, that's actually good news when they do that, because now when I go ahead and divide by pi, really all I need to do is just cross out the pi symbol. Which makes it easy to do without a calculator. So what's left behind then is 10 is equal to 2 times the radius, and if I divide both sides by 2, I get a radius of 5. Before you circle your answer and celebrate being done, remember they try to get you with these problems. They didn't ask for the radius, they asked for the diameter, so just make sure you make note of that. Doubling your radius gets you the diameter, which is 10, so my diameter is going to be 10 feet for this circle.